think it's 2 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming to our Healthy at Home webinar today. We're happy to have Lisa Schenker, and she's talk to us about the health benefits of gratitude. So I want to just introduce Lisa. So Lisa works for the Utah State University as an extension assistant professor based in Salt Lake County. She has a PhD in lifespan developmental psychology and a master's degree in public health. Her major interest areas center around enhancing physical and emotional well-being in adults and promoting positive adolescent development through family, skill building, and parent education. She currently coordinates the Salt Lake County Employee Enrichment Series, which offers weekly presentations on a range of topics to enrich the professional and personal lives of the employees. That's where I first heard Lisa do a presentation, was with one of the Employee Enrichment Series. And I thought, oh, we could use her in our webinar. So I'm so glad she was willing to come today. So you can go ahead, Lisa.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad you were able to join us today. I am going to share my screen so you guys can see my presentation. And as Marianne said, I'll be talking about the health benefits of gratitude. And oops, sorry, sometimes it's hard to do more than one thing at a time. I don't know if you guys have that issue. Okay, let me get my screen going here. Okay. All right, so the health benefits of gratitude. And so today we'll be talking about, we'll first cover what we mean by gratitude, because people have different ideas of what gratitude means. And so what I'd first like to do, if you guys wouldn't mind, is to tell me, and I don't know if we can do this with speaking or if people do this in the chat box. I'm not sure what works best, but I would love for people to share what gratitude means to them. So go ahead and...
Being thankful.
Being thankful, okay. We have in the chat box feeling happy for what I have right now. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
I was just saying being grateful for everything that you have and even the little things that you kind of take for granted. And as a note, if anyone wants to speak, make sure you unmute yourself to do that.
Thanks, Monica. Anybody else have any thoughts about what gratitude means to them? And there's really no right or wrong answer, because this is what it means to you. Okay. Well, we've had some good ideas. So, and I think that my thoughts are right along with what you guys have said so far. So, according to the Harvard Medical School, gratitude helps people connect to something larger than themselves. That could be other people, nature, or a higher power. So some people view gratitude as in terms of their spirituality. Some people have that connection to nature and are grateful to everything they see around them, just in our natural world. And then, of course, we're often very grateful for other people, the other people we have in our lives. And of course, then we should be grateful about ourselves and our skills and strengths and abilities and experiences as well. So a lot of times we think about gratitude as being is about acknowledging what we have done for others and what others have done for us. And so you can kind of see in the little word cloud, there's some of the other words that maybe people think of when they think about gratitude. And so you can see some of those. We have abundance and growth and change, oneness, giving, kindness, creating, forgiving, healing, family. So we have a lot of different ideas. And I think that's one of the cool things about gratitude is that, again, there really is no right or wrong way to describe it. It's really about what it means to you. But I think when we think about gratitude, what we're really doing is thinking about focusing on what we have and not what we lack. And so when I liked this graphic here, it says gratitude turns what we have into enough. And I thought that was really a good representation of just that general, this general concept of gratitude. And so it's about focusing on what we do have, not what we don't have. It could be about looking on the bright side of things, even when we are having challenges. And we'll be talking about some of those as we move through our presentation. But I really like this concept of, that it's about focusing on what we do have. And a lot of times, we think of gratitude as saying thank you to people. And that is certainly a way that we can express our gratitude. But a lot of times gratitude comes from a deeper emotional place than just that sort of polite thank you that we give to people when they do something for us. So it is thinking about it as coming from a deeper place within ourselves. That's when we're really going to have that positive health benefit that we'll be talking about. And then the other big piece is not taking things for granted. And I think we have that mentioned already. All right. Other things to consider about gratitude are that it helps us get out of our own heads, because it allows us to shift outside of ourselves. So what are other people doing for us? What are we just happy about that we receive from the world around us? All right. So what do we have to be grateful for? Well, one way to think about this is what has brought us to today. So this might be our past, the things that have made us who we are, our experiences, and all the people that have been in our lives, from our family, our friends, just thinking about, our kindergarten teachers even, just going back all that time can be kind of a fun way to think about having gratitude for all the people and certain experiences that we've had that have made us who we are. And then we have what happens every day to be grateful for. And those are maybe just those small things that people do for us. They could be small or big things, depending on what they are. But they're the things that happen to us every day in the present, in the now. And then, of course, we can have gratitude for what tomorrow may bring. So that's having this sense of optimism that is really positive and has a lot of positive health benefits as well. So thinking about... I got there. Thinking about what... Okay. Sorry, what did you guys... Okay, I think we're good now. Okay, so thinking about what the future can bring for us is another good way to focus on our gratitude. Okay, so now we're going to move into some of the benefits of gratitude. So I've broken these into three main categories. The first is our emotional well-being. So when we think about our emotional well-being, gratitude can change our negative thoughts to positive. So it can help us sort of, again, see that bright side, even when things might seem negative. It can also help us when we kind of get stuck in that, they call them ruminations, when we kind of just get stuck on those negative things, whatever those things are that are bothering us or that we can't seem to get out of our heads, we're stuck. So having gratitude has been shown to kind of flip that around so that we're able to now think about the positives and be less pessimistic, more optimistic. Helping us accept our present situation. So, we all have things in our lives that create challenges for us. So having gratitude allows us to accept whatever that may be. So it's not necessarily about just ignoring the things that bother us or that are challenging to us, but it's about accepting them and then figuring out how do I address it and move past it. So you see the next bullet there is identify and focus on solutions rather than the problems. And so again, it's super important that we don't ignore the things that are bothering us or on our minds, but that we take them for what they are and then figure out how we can get past them by focusing on the solutions, or just, how are we going to reframe how we're thinking about them to make them seem a little less hard for us or challenging for us. And then the last thing I have on this slide is reducing depression. And so gratitude actually has been shown to be a way when people are asked to focus on what they're grateful for. It's been actually shown to reduce depression, and we'll get into this a little bit more later. But it is really important to note that it's a very inexpensive way to help people feel more positive, to reduce the depression and anxiety that they may be experiencing. Okay, So a lot of the things that we just focused on really are related to resilience. And when we talk about resilience, we're really talking about things or how we deal with challenging situations or traumas that we've experienced. And gratitude has been shown through research to help us cope more effectively with the challenges and trauma. So in fact, there was some research done with veterans who had experienced PTSD. And one of the things that they found is those who had higher levels of gratitude actually had reduced PTSD symptoms. So it was actually able to help them deal with the trauma that they had experienced and kind of move past it. So again, it's not that ignoring it, pretending like it didn't happen. It's about addressing it, kind of accepting it for what it was, and then how do I figure out how I'm going to deal with this and move forward so that it doesn't keep me stuck where I am. So this coping, I think, is really, really important. Okay, moving on to our social relationships. So you might say, why are we talking about that if we're talking about health benefits? Well, actually, our social well-being is a really important part of health. And that is because having those around us, having support from others, various types of support, can be really advantageous to our physical well-being as well. So first, in terms of social well-being, gratitude can help strengthen our relationships with others. It helps us see the good in others, and it helps us feel less isolated and lonely. So in terms of strengthening our relationships with others, how about you guys put in the chat box some ideas of how you think gratitude strengthens our relationships with others? What are your ideas about that? Okay, so no one likes to be around people who are grumpy. I like that. So if we're more positive, as we've talked about, if we are improving our mood, then we probably are going to be more fun to be around, and people are going to want to be around us. So that's great. And then we have positive thoughts toward each other, make relationships enjoyable. Very good. And we also had one more in there that was about connecting. Gives us a connection. So when we show kindness to someone and they have gratitude toward us, or vice versa, right? We are strengthening that connection with others. So it is a really important piece of our connection with other people. So if we just kind of just ignored everything that everybody did, or we just politely said thank you, but didn't necessarily really mean it, it didn't come up from a place of true appreciation, that relationship is probably not going to be super strong. So it really is that, we really just appreciate the heck out of that person that we're with and the things that they do for us. And of course, they appreciate the things that we do for them in return. So that really does create that really strong connection. Okay, very good. So in helping us see the good in others, again, that one's really important too. Sometimes, and I will speak from my own experience here, sometimes it is challenging to, when we have to interact with challenging people, be they, family members, they might be friends or neighbors, people that we have to interact with on a daily basis. But they're not necessarily the people that we would most enjoy being around. Having that gratitude and appreciating them for who they are and what they do, you might not necessarily even, enjoy being around them. But if you can have that sense of gratitude towards those people, it can actually help you to get past some of those negative aspects and help you be able to interact with them in a way that is going to be at least get you through whatever it is you need to have a conversation about. Let's say it's a neighbor that you're having an argument about, their yard or your yard or something like that. How do you get past that? Well, having a sense of gratitude for, just having a person that cares might be something that would give us that better sense. Okay. All right, now moving on to physical health. So how is gratitude related to our physical well-being? Well, let's look at some of the ways. So one, lower stress levels. So there's actually research on all these things that I'm going to talk about here. So lower stress levels, better sleep quality. There's actually a lot of research on this, that having gratitude, higher levels of gratitude, is related to better sleep quality. Now, this is kind of interesting. Does anybody have any theories about why that might be? Why do you think people that have higher levels of gratitude might have better sleep quality? And think about what you might do before bed that might help you. Okay, worry less. I like that one. Anybody? Shut their brain off before going to bed, right? Or maybe focus on something positive before going to bed. Increased endorphins, okay. Not stressing, okay. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that just the things that we've talked about, being in a positive emotional state, having lower stress, it actually leads to better sleep quality. So that's really great. So this is something that, because we know how important sleep is for our overall health. So if we're sleeping better, it means we're probably going to be feeling better overall. Our body's able to heal and be prepared for the next day. Okay, so there's also research that gratitude is related to experiencing less pain. This is another interesting one. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it, because if you are pessimistic and you're thinking about negative, you have those negative thoughts, then it just kind of puts you in a negative mood. You may also be less likely to go out and do things that you enjoy. So if you have a gratitude frame of mind, you are less likely to kind of focus on the pain that you're experiencing. So it's not necessarily that your body doesn't hurt. It may just be that you're just not perceiving as much pain because you have a lot of other positive things going on in your life that you're focused on instead of the negative. So that one I think is really good, as a lot of us do experience a lot more pain and aches and pains as we get older. And I know that's happened to me for sure. Okay, another interesting one, getting regular medical checkups. So people that have higher levels of gratitude are actually more likely to go to the doctor to get their annual exams, to get themselves checked out. And we know that when you go to the doctor and get your regular physical exams, that is related to having greater longevity in life, because you're able to find those things that might be happening earlier than if you just wait until you're having symptoms of something. So that is a very positive thing. Okay, and then another thing that was really interesting that was found in some research is that after individuals had heart attacks, they were more likely to follow medical advice if they reported having higher levels of gratitude. So again, this is sort of something interesting. And I think that what we'll find is that gratitude and optimism a lot of times are connected to each other. So people that are more optimistic, thinking about the positives in the future, are also more likely to have gratitude or have higher levels of gratitude. So it kind of does make sense that they would be more likely to be thinking about the positives that are likely to come if they do follow their doctor's advice and are more willing to, kind of hang in there to get better and heal themselves. Okay, so we kind of talked about some of these, but just to review, when we look at how gratitude can be related to health, help us cope with stress, so we've talked about that. Increases happiness and positive emotions. So if we're happier and we're thinking more positively, then we are more likely to feel better. And also the last one goes back to the one we just talked about, which is those social connections and how important those are. So I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, when I'm around other people that support me and help lift me up, I am definitely feeling more healthy. I'm more likely to want to go out and exercise, maybe eat better, and just take better care of myself. So that connection to other people can really keep us kind of going in the healthy direction. So there's some research that shows that people who are more healthy have higher levels of gratitude. One thing that is interesting, though, to think about is it just that healthier people have higher levels of gratitude? So in other words, it's not that having gratitude causes or makes people be healthier, but maybe it's the fact that people who are healthier just are more grateful because they have better health and they're able to do more things. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that that could be true? Yeah, I see somebody nodding. I see some nods. Okay. So it is kind of interesting. So I want us to keep that in mind because we'll kind of touch on that in our next segment here. But I guess the important thing is that regardless, there is a connection. So we know that if we have if we are have higher levels of gratitude, there is research that shows that it is connected to better health. Okay. We don't know why. We don't know which came first, but we know that they're related. All right. Okay, so my next question for you all is, do you think we are born with a gratitude so that we're kind of stuck with whatever level of gratitude we were born with, or do you think we can work on it? Do you think we can grow it and develop it over time? What do you guys think? I get a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Does that mean you think we can grow it? Is that thumbs up to that? Okay, cool.
Yes, we can. Yeah, we can grow it.
All right, I like it. Thank you guys. Awesome. All right, you guys get the gold star. You are correct. Woo, woo, woo. All right, so great job. Okay, so yes, so we can grow it. So what we're going to focus on next is ways we can do that. Okay, so even if we aren't starting from a place of having a higher level of gratitude, we certainly can get there. And we have some different ways of doing that. And there's actually a lot of research on this. So we're going to talk about strategies to cultivate our gratitude. Okay, so the first one is a daily gratitude journal. All right, so this, I'm going to kind of give you an example of what that might be. And then I may have some, I'll tell you about some of the research that has been, how this works. Okay, so as you see here, the way this might work is at the end of your day, or some people like to do it in the morning when they wake up. But a lot of times people pick the time of day that they like. You allow yourself to think about 3 things that happened during the day that you're most happy about and why you believe they happened. And then you write them down in a journal. So that's not a hard thing to do. But one of the things that they recommend that you do is try to be as detailed as possible and record every little thing that was associated with the thing that you were happy about. Who it was that did it for you, or what the incident was or the experience was that created that gratitude for you. And then another thing that's really great. So when you do this, you're in the moment, you're processing that experience. That just brings you joy and happiness at the time that you're writing it. But then the other really cool thing is now you have a record that you can go back to and look at over time. So when you're feeling down, you're feeling, you're kind of stuck in those negative thoughts, you can go back and look at your entries from previous days to see the things that have made you feel grateful in the past. And that'll help lift you up in the times that you need it most. Other things that you can do are, if you don't have to do exactly this way. You don't have to even think of 3 things. Maybe it's just 1 thing. Some people might just decide to do this once a week. So there's not really a right way to do this. It's really what's going to work best for you. But research has shown that when people do this process, they go through this process, they end up feeling better about their life on the whole. They're more optimistic about their upcoming week. And then they reported having fewer physical complaints than participants who didn't focus on what they were grateful for. So they actually did a study where they asked half the participants to focus on things they were grateful for, and the other half to focus on things that irritated them, so things that annoyed them. And what they found was that, of course, the ones that were focused on the positives were more likely to have these positive outcomes than those who focused on their irritations and their negatives. So in other words, venting. So kind of venting and getting those irritations out, that didn't really lead to these positive outcomes. But focusing on the good, the positive things, and what they were grateful for really did have this great impact. So as a specific example, some research showed that journaling just for 5 minutes a day about what you are grateful for can enhance our happiness by over 10%. So that's pretty cool. So 5 minutes a day, that's not much time every day to get a really positive outcome for yourself. So, you know, when I first started looking at some of this research, it seems sort of like, you know, okay, that seems kind of silly. Why do I have to write down every day what I'm grateful for? But you know what? When there's research behind something, there must be something to it. So, you know, on the one hand, it's 5 minutes of your time, and you can say, what do I really have to lose? 5 minutes of my time, you know, to focus on something that might be really beneficial to me. So why not try it, right? So there's actually some other research out there that showed when people who were depressed already, and they did this journaling, it actually reduced their depressive symptoms up to 35% when they did it over a period of about 10 weeks or so. And when they continue to do it, they continue to see those benefits. So people who are, it's probably one of the cheapest ways to have a positive impact on ourselves. I mean, all it takes is, you know, typing it out or writing it out. So we have a question, does writing it down release endorphins? So I think what it is it's a lot about the processing in the brain that is really kind of what's happening. So I think, well, because in a little bit, I'll talk to you about meditation, and that's another way that you don't actually have to write it down, but it's almost just that thinking and the processing of the thing that happened is what creates that pleasurable experience in the brain and brings us that positive, the positive emotion associated with it. Although I think that the benefit of writing it down is that you can go back to it later and lift yourself up with it. So I think that's the downside of not writing it down, is that you don't have it to go back. I mean, you can try to comb through your brain, you know, and like cycle through each day, but it's a lot easier when you have something concrete in front of you to be able to do that. But that's a great question. Okay, so here's my next idea, and that is keeping a gratitude jar. Okay, so gratitude jars. So this is sort of a similar concept to the journal, but this is going to be writing something you are grateful for on a slip of paper. And you can do this as often as you want to. You know, you might say, but try to do it at least once a week. And then again, when you're feeling down, like you look at this jar and you will feel so full just of all the positive energy that you have, because you have all these great things that you've experienced, or people that have done things for you, or your own positive skills, strengths, characteristics that you're grateful for. So all you have to do when you're feeling down or stuck on something negative is open up your jar and start reading your slips of paper to remind yourself of those positive things. And I think that you will definitely get uplifted by doing that. So it's, again, partly about remembering. Okay, why don't I just read my journal?
The jar is fun to do with other people. So the jar works nicely when you do it with a group of people too.
Yeah, really good point. So that's really fun too. Your family or friends or whoever you'd like to. Do a jar and keep those in there, and then you can look at each other's, or even really nice if you have a, you can do that, what you're thankful for that among the group of people. So, if it be your family, friends, coworkers, etc. You put in there what you're grateful for that one of them has done, and then of course that's a warm fuzzy for them when they get to read it. So that's a really great thing. Yes, so thank you for that. All right. And doing either writing these things down, and so I think this might go back to the question we had, but so there is, I don't know about the research on the meditation, but we do know that daily journaling and writing things, these slips of paper with these, the things that we're grateful for, and putting it in your gratitude jar does have a positive effect on reducing depression, anxiety, and burnout in people. So I think there's definitely something to the writing it down beyond just the processing in the brain, the writing it down and then being able to go back and refer to it. So I do think that there is definitely something to that whole process. Okay. All right, next strategy.
Remember better to write it down too. You have a tendency to forget it if you just say it. When you write it down, it's more concrete.
Right, exactly. Yes, very good point. Okay. So our next strategy is writing a gratitude letter. Now, we've all probably written thank you notes in our lives. I know I have. And thank you notes, you know, when somebody does something nice for us, that's always a really nice thing to do. However, a gratitude letter might be a little bit different. So a gratitude letter might be something that that someone has done for you, but maybe it's not a sort of direct, like, thank you for, you know, giving me a ride to the doctor when I, you know, couldn't drive or something like that. So it, you know, some sort of practical thing that somebody did. Maybe it's something that they just made you feel better. They listened to you when you needed someone to talk to. It's something that, you know, you're not necessarily recognizing all the time. Or, you know, it's not just sort of an exchange of, you know, like, I did this for you and you thank me and now I feel obligated to do something nice for you, that kind of thing. This is something where you really want to acknowledge what someone has done and show them how much you appreciate them. And a lot of times this can be really beneficial when you've never properly thanked the person for something. So, you know, think back in your life. Think back to, you know, people that have done something or helped contribute to something or helped you have an experience or provided some resources for you or just made you feel good in a time when you might have been having some challenges. And thanking them for that. I mean, it will make you feel better because you're going to remember that positive thing that they did for you and how good that makes you feel good. And then, of course, you're making them feel good as well because you're recognizing something that maybe they thought you forgot or you just didn't, you know, it just didn't mean that much to you. But you take the time to write this letter and now all of a sudden they get it. They're like, wow, this I had an impact on this person's life. So not only are you making yourself feel good, but you're making that person feel good as well. I mean, who wouldn't want that, right? So, and it also strengthens your relationship. We talked about that earlier. Now, here's a really interesting thing. So some of this research suggests that you know, in some cases you might not know the person's address. Let's say you don't know how to look up the person. You don't have an email address, you don't have an address for them, and you want to write a letter because, you know, you want to get that out, but you don't know how to get the letter to them. Well, guess what? There's still a benefit, even if you don't send them the letter. Research shows that just writing the letter, going through that process of getting that out, remembering the experience, feeling that positive energy and emotion about what that person did for you and how they helped to contribute to your life in a meaningful, positive way, can actually have a positive effect, even if you don't give it to the person. So I will encourage you, you know, just think about that because, like I said, you know, maybe they're people from a long time ago in your past and you don't know how to reach them right now, but you still want to acknowledge that. It can actually help you to go through that process, even if you're not able to show them. Ideally, they get that warm, fuzzy feeling too if you're able to share that letter with them, but it's still a benefit to you, even if you don't. So I thought that was a really interesting research finding. So they've shown that this kind of positive outcomes from writing gratitude letters can actually last after you write the letter for over a month. So you can have some positive benefits on your positive emotion up to a month after you write it. And some of the other research was they found that writing these gratitude letters has been shown to have helped people who are suicidal or fighting terminal diseases to feel more hopeful and positive about their lives. And of course you are, you know, again, strengthening that relationship with others. So one thing you guys might want to do, I would like to challenge you to try to write one gratitude letter every month, just once a month. That's not that much. And I will also say that if you want to, you can send text if that's what you're into. Now, handwritten letters are, of course, a very nice touch, especially I think right now with COVID, we're not able to see people. So getting something in the mail, I know how I feel when I get things in the mail. It's one thing we still can do. And or even a gift, a care package, a present, something nice for somebody that you can send. A handwritten note doesn't cost anything except for the stamp and a little bit of money for the paper, an envelope. So it's a very inexpensive way to kind of lift yourself up and lift someone else up in the process. All right. Okay, so now we're to the daily gratitude meditation. So now meditation might sound kind of weird to some people, and you don't have to think of it as that typical meditation. Like I have a picture of of a woman who is kind of in that traditional, what we think of a meditation pose, but it certainly does not have to be or look like that. So a meditation could simply be taking time every day to think about what you have that you appreciate. And especially if you don't have time to write thank you notes or write that gratitude letter, you're just like, I just have too much going on, or I just can't get myself to do that. That's okay. Even thinking about it can have a positive effect. So again, it doesn't have all the positive effects that we've talked about, but it can still be uplifting to you when you sort of even just go through the process of mentally, in your own mind, thanking a person for something that they've done for you, which again, I think is really interesting finding. Okay, so when we think about what this might look like, we might think about our achievements, our talents, our feelings at the moment. So being in the present about what we appreciate about ourselves, but then also the world around us. And again, the world around us can be the people, can be the animals. Of course, you know, if any of you have pets, of course, we appreciate our pets. And just everyone else who unconditionally loves and supports us, and that we're thankful for. All right. So does anybody have any thoughts that they would like to put out right now before I have a little activity for us to do a little practice, an gratitude practice? You guys ready to do a practice? Maybe. Okay. Does everybody have some paper and something to write with? I see some paper and pens. Awesome. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's what I'd like you to do. Think about 3 amazing people who are in your life and write those down. So just do that one first. 3 amazing people in your life. Who would those be? And they could certainly be people from your past or from your present. All right. All right, our next one. Think about 3 gifts of knowledge or experience that you have been given. Okay? Knowledge or an experience that you have been given. So this is again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's whatever you appreciate of knowledge, what you have learned, and what you have experienced so far in your life. All right. And then the last one is write down 3 gifts of unique talent and skill that you have been given. So this is a little bit different than the knowledge and experience. So these are unique things about you, your talents and skills. So whatever those are, again, there's no right or wrong, and no one is going to look at this, just you. unique talents and skills. So these are just some examples. I don't know if you guys are still working on, some of you might still be working on this, but so this is just some examples. These are just some ways that you can, think about. There are so many more questions that you can ask yourself just to get your brain thinking about the positive things, the things that you want to be thankful for and appreciate. Again, the things about other people in your life, the things that you have in your life, your experiences, what has made you who you are as a person. I mean, when you think about the rich history that you have, so many things have contributed to being, making you who you are. And there's so many things for us to be thankful for and focusing on those positives. So that's really what we want to be doing, to have those great health benefits that we talked about, the emotional benefits and the social benefits, because it's going to make people want to be around us more. Right? When we're feeling happier and we're feeling more grateful and we're showing our appreciation to others, they're going to want to be around us more. And that's what we want. All right. So does anybody want to share any of the things they wrote down? No pressure, but if you'd like to share, feel free to. Yes, Susan wants to share. Do you want to unmute yourself, Susan? Oops, you're still muted, Susan.
There it is.
There you go.
Well, I have been gifted in many ways. And one lady actually told me, "You're totally gifted." And that was after I shared a few things about myself at Vital Aging class in the county in West Jordan. And I thought, oh my gosh, I wrote it down and made her sign it. I told you, you are my adopted grandmother. But my other gift that I was told I was gifted at was teaching. And a man told me I was pretty. But my husband passed away like 8 years ago. So anyway, it was acceptable in a way, but I thought I didn't want much to do with him anyway. So, but those are just some of the gifts I have. I'm also a good writer and a good reader. I have a college degree. And I am so grateful for that because it's made a huge difference in my life. That's enough.
Wonderful.
That's enough.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful, Susan. Thank you so much for sharing. We should not be ashamed of the things that we're proud of about ourselves, so I really appreciate your willingness to share.
There was something else I was thinking about there was a time I decided to write somewhat of a gratitude journal, but guess what? On another side of the page, I wrote my worries. And as I look back at them, guess what? None of those worries ever happened. So the gratitude is way more powerful. And what helped me is to know, don't worry so much. And people have told me, Susan, you work so hard. You worry too much. Okay. So gratitude is the opposite of worried, somewhat, I believe. Okay, I'm done.
I like that. Thank you so much, Susan. I really like that. I really, really, really appreciate that. A lot of times those worries don't ever happen. And that is why we want to try to stop ourselves from doing it, because it's just not a good use of our mental energy. Yeah.
I'm getting gray hair. Well.
Exactly. We don't need more gray hairs if we don't need them, right? Exactly. Very good. Okay.
I'll mute it.
Okay, thanks, Susan. Okay, I see that in the chat box we have, guessing that Shirley, who has put in there that she has a friend who has taken to writing letters to acquaintances, and a lot of times they include messages of gratitude to let the person know that, to let them know that she's thinking of them. And of course, this is also supporting the post office, which is great. And she writes, she does not text or email her notes, so that way she's supporting the post office. And there is something kind of special about getting a letter, especially a handwritten letter. There just is something special about it. I mean, I don't know. You guys most of you were around before emails, right? So I am too. And there's just definitely something nice about having a pen pal or somebody that you can just, write something to that. And a positive pandemic activity. I think it is a really positive thing. Like if we're stuck inside and we can't really do much, at least we can create some connections with people and give them warm, fuzzy feelings, and doing that for ourselves in the process by sending them notes. So I really like that. Does anybody else want to share any of the things they came up with? I saw Marianne had in her in the chat box there. She said she had way more amazing people than 3. So that's fabulous. That's wonderful, Marianne. Did anybody else want to share anything they had on their list? Any of them? Or just any other thoughts that they, had as they were thinking about things that they're grateful for?
Lisa, I have Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Mine's about the gratitude jar. Can I share that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm a believer in exercising, and I also believe it's really helpful to mark it on the calendar every day that you've exercised, so you have a visual. And so you can see what weeks you really didn't do anything or what weeks you were really consistent. And the gratitude jar to me is that visual. You can see how many things you're grateful for, that it's piled up in that jar, or do you have one little thing in your jar?
Yes, that visual can be really powerful. So I think that's right. Same as if you have a journal and you can flip through all the pages, like Susan was talking about, seeing all the positive things in her journal can help counteract the negatives. So I think there's definitely something to that visualization of all, just seeing it just fills you up. When your jar is filled up, it kind of can fill you up as well and just kind of give you that nice feeling. So yes, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else have thoughts or want to share any of the things that they noticed when they did this activity? I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but did anybody have trouble coming up with things? Oh, go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, no, I lost my thought. I am grateful for my college education because I became a preschool teacher, and children are something that I really love to work with. So I am grateful for being able to be a preschool teacher, be with the children.
That's awesome. Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing that. Let's see. Patty says it made her realize that she had gotten a lot of cooking skills from her mom. Well, that's great. Good.
I think Trudy has something.
Sorry, who was that? Had something?
I think Trudy. Trudy, did you raise your hand?
I cannot even see myself, so I don't know where am I.
We can hear you, Trudy.
Actually, I like Susan's idea. One side is gratitude, the other side is the worries. Because sometimes the worries is to remind myself, why worry so much? Something will never happen. So I look back and said, oh, that's the waste of my energy and my mind. So I will correct that problem. So later on, I will correct. I will not worry about those useless things.
I'm going to say thank you.
Thank you. So I know, really, sometimes I worry for nothing actually. So yes. if I write down, I will remind myself. Gosh, why worry that? And yes. And I appreciate 3 people. I mean, my sister, my husband, and one of my professors. And I like to teach. I'm a teacher. I'm grateful. I like to travel, music, or continuing studying, continuing learning, like this kind of class or university. I really appreciate. So I continue learn new things.
That's great. Thank you, Trudy, for sharing that.
Thank you. Susan, I will write down my worries, okay?
So it's okay to write down your worries, but you can't stay focused on them. So you should accept them for what they are, because they're important. They're telling you something, but just not getting stuck on your worries, right? So acknowledge them and then move past them. So then to say, okay, what am I going to do about this, or how am I going to avoid this, so that we don't get stuck in them, and we can, because a lot of times, as we talked about, as Susan mentioned, a lot of times the things that we're worried about don't actually happen. A lot of times they don't happen, so it's just not a good use of our mental energy. So we want to be aware of them, acknowledge them, but then, don't get stuck on them, and try to move on from them. So, all right. Okay, anybody else want to share anything that their thoughts are? I see Patty typed in the chat box that she had a hard time thinking of unique talents for herself. And I bet that she has a lot of talents that she just isn't able to think of. I don't know Patty, so I can't help her, but I just bet you do, Patty. And sometimes they don't have to be like super, things that you're like a superstar at, but they can just be things that I'm a good listener. You can be a good listener. You can be a caring person. You can be somebody that, gives back to their community. So anything like that, is something that you can think about as being a unique talent, or a skill that you have. So they don't have to be something, like I'm a concert pianist. It doesn't have to be that kind of thing. We don't all have to be superstars. But we all have very unique and special things about ourselves, and I think that's what we want to be focused on. Okay, anybody else have any thoughts? I'll open it up to questions if you guys have questions. Anything else you guys just, you want to share? Does anybody have anything specific that they're grateful for today that's happened, or this week that's happened so far, or this weekend? Susan?
I recently had a very important birthday. It was my 80th birthday. And with the coronavirus and everything, and me being more susceptible, my daughter and grandchildren who live in Stansbury Park, about 40 minutes away, we couldn't get together in the house. They were going to come to the house, and we thought it'd be okay, just because it was so special. But what they decided to do, since the father of the family got sick and they didn't know what he had, they showed up at my back door with a whole bunch of stuff. Think a big thing of flowers, T-shirts that said "Awesome," made in 1940, awesome, made for all 80 years, it said. And I'm so thankful for that. And truthfully, I haven't gotten those. I'm going to give each one of that family their own thank you card, because my granddaughter made me a beautiful birthday card and told me I'm the best, and she's the best. And it was just, it saved my day. I'm so grateful for it. It just brings tears to my eyes thinking about it. So special. Just on the 8th, just last Sunday. So within the last week or so. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Susan. But you know what?
Go ahead, Susan. I have to say, by the way, so I'm going to be.
Okay. I don't know about anybody else, but that just kind of gave me goosebumps hearing Susan's story. That's just amazing. That's so cool that your family did that for you. Okay, and people are putting some great things in the chat box here, so I'm going to make sure that I mention that. Electricity. Ever since the big windstorm, electricity is super cool to have. Sometimes when we don't have something, it makes us realize how much we should appreciate the things that we have. So that's a good one. And then I like this one too. How about calling someone on the phone and just chatting and staying positive? Is this advisable? I would say so. I think, reaching out to people on the phone, I don't know, I think is wonderful. I know that I feel, people get so stuck on text and email anymore. written letters are nice, but phone calls are also really nice. So, it just lets somebody know that we're thinking about them, or when they, let us know that they're thinking about us. It is an uplifting thing to have that. So absolutely, I think it's a great thing to do. Again, it doesn't cost any money, unless you have, I guess, long distance charges, but generally that's not too expensive. So it can definitely be worth the cost. And then I love this one too, warm sunshine on a winter day. Oh, I couldn't agree with that one more. I got to sit outside and eat lunch yesterday, and it felt so good to be in the sun. Is Zoom calling even better? You know what? That's a personal preference. And so I'm just going to say that obviously, if you can handle the technology of Zoom with your family or your loved ones or whoever you're reaching out to, I think it's always nice to see a smiling face on the other end, when people can see what we call nonverbals, like the smiles and the nodding and just, as I've been looking at you guys, as I've been talking, I've been really appreciated the thumbs up and the nodding and that, like I'm connecting with you. I like that. So I think there's something really positive when we can do that. So when you're able to do a Zoom call or a Skype or a Google Meet, there's a lot of different tools out there that we have that don't cost money. It really does. It can help us connect and, and feel better, feel more connected, uplifted by when we are talking to somebody. But some people can't, they don't like it. They feel awkward on camera. And so it's usually better to ask people what their preference is. You don't want to make them feel uncomfortable.
I do phone calls for church, and it's total strangers. And I've called them 28 weeks in a row now, but we feel like we know one another. And it's just a phone call, and it doesn't matter. They are all so grateful.
Uh-huh. That's nice. Thank you. Rachel, were you going to share something? Rachel, you're muted.
Now can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I remember when Susan reminded me of something when I was in the hospital. I had to stay for a long time. I didn't get to go home for my birthday. I was stuck in the hospital, and it was really a lousy day until my friend came to the door and brought me this great big bouquet of flowers. And the nurses all got together and wrote me a birthday card and told me they could go visit me unless they brought me a gift. And it really made my day, and I was able to survive one last day in the hospital. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Rachel. All right. Well, you guys have been great. Thank you guys so much for sharing your stories and the things that you have gratitude for. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Thanksgiving, right? So Thanksgiving I think that's how we got this timed, or this particular talk timed, because we are right before the holiday when we are supposed to be giving thanks. And as we talked about earlier, giving thanks is part of gratitude, but it's not all of gratitude. So it's obviously nice when we do give thanks, but taking that time, it's a good reminder every year around this time that we can start kind of doing that. And of course, I want to thank you for participating. You guys, I really you've made my day. Okay, I'll just tell you that. Just seeing your smiling faces, having you guys share your stories, I feel uplifted. So thank you guys so much for participating with me today. And I'm actually going to be back and talking with you in December. So I'll be presenting on a different topic. So I'll get to see you again, and I'm looking forward to that. So I will turn it back over to Marianne.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming today, and for all of you for participating. And on that note, yeah, I wanted to share what we're doing in December, what things lined up for our December webinars. And maybe Erica, are you still on? Erica, do you want to tell them what you're doing next week? Maybe Erica. Oh, she's there. I'll share this.
Sorry, it takes me a minute. Anyway, next week, Tuesday at 2, we are doing a webinar in Spanish. So if you guys are in need to practice your Spanish, come on over. The webinar is going to be about memory. And, sometimes we are forgetful and we worry about our memory. You know, we're like, is this normal or am I heading towards something more serious? And so we're going to discuss those things, you know, what's normal part of aging on our memory and what's more a red flag. And we're also going to share resources and what to do. And so I hope some of you can come and join us.
Thanks, Erica. And I have on the screen here what we have lined up for December. So we have a lot of great things. Paige is going to talk to us about how to stay active during the holidays. Lisa's going to come back on December 8th and talk about of maybe a COVID, what's going to look like maybe a COVID Christmas. Happy holidays or bah humbug. And on the 15th, we're going to do a recipe share. This will be fun. This will be really interactive. So if you come on the 15th, come prepared to share one of your favorite holiday recipes. And then we'll email out all the recipes to each other and you can have some new holiday recipes. The 22nd, we're going to learn about different cultures and countries and the traditions they have around holidays. So that will also, there'll be 3 different speakers that day. So that'll be fun. And then at the end of December, we're going to have a mindfulness meditation with Jean Stoddard. So that will be a great way to maybe de-stress after Christmas and get ready for the new year. So
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Rachel.
Can you email this presentation to me? The notes and stuff? I would be appreciative.
That would be a call for Lisa to make.
Lisa, can you do it?
Oh, she's saying yes.
Thank you, dear.
How about if she'll email it to me, then I'll email it out.
That's a good idea. Yeah, okay.
If you, yeah. I think I have all of your emails. But Monica's taking roll today, so we can make sure and get it to all of you if you want it. So that's great. All right. Any other questions or things anyone needs to say before we leave?
Susan, I don't know if you were trying to say something, but we couldn't hear you.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I've been taking careful notes because for Christmas, I want to give people some gratitude journals for Christmas. And I wanted to put a bunch of reasons for gratitude. And so that's one of the reasons I listen to this. And if you could send that to me, I take good notes, but hey, that'd be nice. Thank you.
All right, we'll do that. Thanks, Susan. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday. And thank you, Lisa, once again, for coming today. We really appreciate it. Bye-bye.